is that some insurance companies will always refuse to cover people with disabilities.
No, that's not very true. I mean, that's what the plan is for. That's what the product is for, disabilities. But maybe the issue is it accidental? Is it work-related? Okay, it's not a disability that is already pre-existing, and then you expect the insurance company to take care of it. Okay, so it must be during the course of employment. That will definitely be covered.
So if I go home after 5, and I sleep, say, on the floor and break my hand, the workers' compensation can't cover that.
It will not do that. Workers' compensation will not do that. But then we encourage or we advise employers to take up a broader cover. Now that's what they call GPA, the group personal accident. The difference with workers' compensation limits you to the course of work.
Okay? 8 to 5.
8 to 5. But with the GPA, you cover 24 hours. And that makes the difference. And that's why every time you're having an advisor for insurance purposes, when it comes to workers' compensation, we would advise that you take up a GPA, the group personal accident, because it's 24 hours, unlike the workers' compensation, which is strictly during the course of employment.
I got a question here, and someone was asking, what if I'm injured and can't return to my usual job? What happens there?
You're injured and you can't return to your usual job.
Yes.
Of course, what will happen? It depends what kind of job we're talking about, that you will not have to return there. But it's unlikely that when you're injured, then you won't have. I don't know what kind of injury that would be, or you'll not be allowed. But in the event that you can actually not be allowed to you former job, then of course you'll take the benefit, and then you must find a form of employment that then would allow you to still perform in that kind of state.
Right.
Yeah, like you're saying, it's possible that, maybe you've lost an arm, and that means if you're a carpenter, you can no longer use that arm, then definitely you may have to switch something different that you won't have to use the arm.
Do you provide platforms where, for example, workers can sue? You know, I went through, those factories, and these guys are, of course, they couldn't run the machines anymore because the hands were off. And all they did was to just say, we don't know what to do. We don't know where to report. The factories do not have workers' compensation plans covered. Do you have those platforms where an employee can come to you and say, help me sue this company for not...
No, of course, as an insurance company, that's not within our mandate. It's not within. But what I would advise them is the fact that workers' compensation is a compulsory cover, they would have to engage the labor office. For that purpose. All right.
You talked about monetary benefits. What do you offer at ICEA?
Now, of course, usually what happens, in terms of the main covers for workers' compensation, it's more or less standard. Like I said, in case of permanent total disability, in case of death, that is already predetermined. There's a schedule of how much you can actually get. But now what makes the difference probably is the additional benefits. For instance, like you mentioned about the employees actually suing the employer. Now, this is what they call the common law extension that is incorporated into that benefit. What you're saying is, as an employer, there's a possibility that these employees are going to sue you. It's what they call, again, the duty of care. Now, if you're in a factory setting, you're expected to provide protective gear. Now, if you do not provide the protective gear and the guy chopped off his fingers, he has the right to actually walk into the courts of law, sue you for that. Now, we have that extension and saying, look here, there are lots of legal expenses involved. Now, the common law extension would maybe range from about 100 to 200 million to deal with the legal expenses and any other court-related cases.
So that's a benefit for the employer?
For the employer, yes.
And how do you protect the worker? What do you provide, what do you offer the worker?
Of course, remember again, we cannot, from an insurance perspective, we cannot go straight to the employee or the worker. Remember, the contract is signed between ICA and NTV, for instance. So whatever I have to do, the first party and second party must come together in the first case. So it's then, even the payment that I'll have to make it to NTV. Now, then...
NTV will...
see how to do the payments.
All right. Apart from the workers' compensation, I know most of... let me just read some of these messages here. Many people have questions concerning that. All right. A question here for you. What if I have my small business? How much do I have to have for you to take on my workers?
Okay.
Yes, do you first look at the size of the business to start the cover? I have 5 employees and I want to protect them, or probably doing a dangerous job, probably doing carpentry or woodwork or metalwork, and anything could happen there.
Let me tell you, Brian, it's irrespective of the number of employees you're going to have as an establishment. Whether 1 or 2, there's always cover for them, okay? What really matters in terms of how much, again, maybe to the question of how much do you have to pay as maybe as a company, is the issue of how much you're paying each one of them. So usually what we request for is the monthly earnings of each of the employees, and then that, we do a multiple of that and then apply a rate. And the premiums are usually very, 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 very small. The only difference is what rate to apply to the premiums would actually depend on the nature of work that you're doing. For instance, the guys in carpentry, the risks are much higher, so definitely the rate will be slightly higher. Yeah.
Well, this morning, Simoy Milton from ICEA Group here talking matters workers' compensation. Apart from workers' compensation, what other plans do you provide? Okay,
there are various plans that we would definitely provide, but of course, again, the plan that will definitely depend on what your need is. For instance, the common one is motor insurance, that everyone basically knows. They, of course, also have the life products. We have the life plans that we have on board. We have contractors or risks. We have the fire and allied perils. And these are some of the covers that we're especially targeting the SMEs. The guys who are in that sector, they're contributing like 60% of the GDP. And those are the guys who want to help move from one sector to the other. So the best thing would be for us to actually have a one-on-one chat with these guys and advise them on the kind of plans that are most appropriate to their businesses.
All right. ICA is found at Renzori House.
Renzori Courts.
Renzori Courts.
Yeah, first and second floor.
All right. Because these guys actually power everyday life, so we thank you very much for that. Go and get all these different plans and find out what is suitable for you and start today. You never know what will happen to you in the future. All right. Those who have the privilege of having health insurance, you know what I'm talking about. That one morning when you're too broke, you only have transport to the hospital and back, and that small little card that guarantees you medical attention at the hospital saves you and your child. So, you know, this is the age. This is the age where you guarantee some things. You don't just, you know, live life. Yeah, you don't leave it to luck. So make sure you go and get yourself a cover at ICEA. Of course, over the next couple of weeks, we will be making sure that these guys come back and explain more of these plans, and you make sure you get yourself one. It's 20 after 8. Make sure you stay with us when we come.